In this video, I'm going to show you how you can take this and convert it to this. Alright, so let's start. We're going to use the apartment that we've been working on. And in this case, I'm going to be using the master bedroom. All I have to do is just copy out the master bedroom over here. We don't have to worry about this wall not being copied out. We don't actually need to use this wall. Alright, so I'm just going to Control C to copy, open a new file. Just make sure that you are using large object millimeters. I'm going to paste it in. Right click on this viewports. I'll turn on the shaded view so you'll be able to see the model. Okay, that's all you need. In fact, I don't really need this wall, so I'm going to get rid of it. I'm going to get rid of this too. Alright. Now I'm going to create a floor so that I can place my furniture. I'm going to go to the top view, surface plane. And I'm going to pick this corner here in the perspective view and use the top view to get the other corner, and this creates a nice floor. Now I'm going to create the ceiling. Press the Alt button on your keyboard and then click once on the blue arrow and type 3000 because that's the height of the unit, and immediately you get a copy that's sitting directly on top of the unit. Now I've got the floor and ceiling. I'm going to create an additional 2 more planes, and they will serve as area lights or lighting panels to illuminate the inside of the interior. So I'm going to use surface plane. Just create something like this. Use my right hand view. I'm going to raise it up so it's near the ceiling, like so. Then I'm going to create another panel. So I'm going to press Alt and drag the green arrow to create a copy. With this copy, I'm going to angle it slightly like this. So it's going to mimic like light rays or sun rays coming into the room. Then I'm going to go to the top view. I'll make it bigger by stretching out these handles here. I've got a lighting panel. I'm going to go make it a bit higher, a bit further as well. Okay, that will do. Next thing I'm going to do is to create the layers. I'm going to assign all of these layers so that when I bring this file into KeyShot, it would be accurate. So I'm start with windows first. So window frame. And then I'll rename the second layer by double clicking on it. I'll call this glass windows. Then obviously you've got the floor, so I'm going to name this floor. And then you've got the ceiling, so I'm going to name this ceiling. Next thing you have is obviously the door over here, so I'll name this door. And then lastly, I've got the lighting panel, so I'm going to create a new layer. I call this light panels. Now that I've got all the layers done, I'm going to start assigning them. So I'm going to select the window. For example here, go over to properties and change this to glass windows. Select the frame, change it to window frame. This will be walls. This will be ceiling. This will be floor. This will be light panels. This will be wall. This is a group. I'm going to ungroup it first. I'll type ungroup. Alright. This here would be a wall. And then I'll go ahead and select this. I'll press Ctrl to deselect the top bit. So then I'll group the door. You can create a separate layer and have this as your door handle, but I'm just going to keep it simple for now. I'm just going to name it door. Got this as light panels. Make sure you name this as light panels as well. And yeah, I think I've got everything. Now I'm going to copy the stool and I'm going to paste the stool into the scene. Obviously, if you have a much nicer furniture than what I have here, you'll definitely look a lot better in the scene. All right. Okay, the stool, I've previously created layers for them. But I'm gonna just make it more obvious. So I'm gonna type stool dash top, and I'm gonna do the same for the other ones, stool dash legs. Okay, I can get rid of master bedroom. Yeah. Okay, that looks about right. So I'm going to go ahead and save this file. Go over to KeyShot, import it, make sure it's set to Z. Okay, now that I have imported the scene, I'm going to start by making a few changes. So I'll go to lighting and turn on the interior setting. Then I'll start going over to material library over here. Go over to the architectural folder. There is a window, glass window material, so I'm going to drag this in. Okay, that looks great. I'm going to go over to the paint section. There's a matte paint, apply this to the walls. There, I'm going to find metal and this anodized aluminium into the window frames. Okay, just paint the ceiling white as well. No, I do not want to link it. Okay, and then I'll go to the wood folder or throw in like a wood texture on the floor. All right, since I'm not going to be facing the reverse way, so I won't need to render the door. But for now, I'll have to find the light folder. Within the light folder, there are these materials called area light. So I'm going to drag this over here. Now, the area lights are fantastic because they can provide lighting and turn this into a light source. Once you have applied the material, you double click on this. Over here, it says lumens. I'm going to change it to watt. Okay, now it's too bright, so I'll change this to 50 watt. Okay, that'll be about right. So I'm going to uncheck all of this. So I do not want it to be visible in the camera. I'll turn this off. Probably visible in reflections. So I don't want it to be applied to the front of geometry. Okay. So there you go, only to the back so that I can see the actual light. Alright, so now that I've got this light set up to provide general lighting in the space, I'm going to turn my attention to the other light source over here. If you go over to your scene panel, try to find the light panels. Okay, this large one. Okay, I'm going to apply a different light source to this. What I need to do is I need to select this and unlink the material so that this can act independently. Then I can drag one of this, in fact, drag it like this into the panel, and then this would be its own independent light source. Go ahead and double click on this. Same thing, I'll uncheck visible to camera. It doesn't matter if it's front or back now. Change this to watts. You'll be able to see, can you see this? The lighting is slowly coming into the room. You can see the shadows. Yeah, so you can make it a bit higher if you want it, if you want to see it more obvious. There you go. You can see the light coming in through the windows. All right, now you can definitely adjust this. All right, but for now I think I'll just keep it as maybe 2000. All right, now that I have set up the lighting panels, next thing I'll do is to bring in environment. So go to outdoor folder and drag this in. All right, it's gonna look strange, but now I'm gonna have to set up my camera. So I'll go to camera. Okay, create a new camera, camera 1. Change this to 35. Okay, to give it a bit of a wide angle, zoom in. So try to get a nice view like so. Okay. If I think this is good enough, change the camera to a shift camera. and click on estimate vertical shift to get all the lines nice and straight. Alright, so that's how you set up the camera. Don't forget to save it. Okay, we can always come back and make adjustments. So let me just maybe zoom in a little bit. Okay, like so. Click on estimate vertical shift. Okay, and then save the camera. Alright, once I got the camera set up, I'll head back to the environment. You can see this image is slightly too big and there's this really weird looking sun ray coming in. So I'm gonna change the rotation a little bit. Okay, so perhaps something like this. And this is way too big for my liking, so I believe it was 12,000 or some really large number. So I'm going to change this to 8,000. Yeah, much better. So you can see it's now further away and looks a little bit more realistic. Okay, remember to paint the chair. So I'm just going to go ahead and just put in like a wood texture into my chair. Okay. So if you want a bit of contrast, you can definitely change up the material a fair bit. Now that I've done this, make sure you turn on occlusion ground shadows over here so that you get a bit more contact shadows and that will look better. And go over to image here and turn on this thing called photographic. Yeah, and remember to turn on the denoise. So denoise would make everything nice and sharp. Yeah, like you can see in right now. But you can play around with curves and colors, blooms, and so on and so forth to adjust the image that it looks a lot better. Alright, but for now, you will understand how you can set up an interior scene very quickly using KeyShot and the techniques that I showed you earlier. Once you're done, do remember to click render. You gotta turn off the GPU first. Click render. Go to options, make sure maximum samples is selected. Come over here, rename it. So KeyShot render. Put it into the right folder. Just use JPEG for now. Click render. Alright, there you go. Now the render is completed. So I hope you understand how to use KeyShot for interior renderings.